Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks for joining me today. It's been a while, but I'm back, and I'm excited to be doing a card hop. This is a monthly card hop from the Card Hopping group where we have a theme and two different techniques. This month, for the month of January, the theme is putting a new spin on an old card. The two techniques are a pop-out diamond fun fold or a landscape diamond display. I am doing the landscape diamond display in 2 days video, and then I will have a video tomorrow showing the other one. But this is a hop, and so there are other participants, and I would love it if you would follow us all along. There's just a few of us, and so I hope you get some inspiration and some ideas. So I always make a template when I am doing a new fun fold, and so that is what I have done with this. This is a really cool, super easy fun fold to do, and these are the products that I'm going to be using today. This is a die set from Papertray Ink called Wildwood dies. I have a sentiment die from Pocket Full of Happiness, the 6x6 red rubber stamp from Whimsy stamps. The inks I'm going to be using are Versafine, Clair, and Sand Dune, and then Versamark embossing ink. I will be using some gold embossing powder and then some miscellaneous stamps for the background. And then I'm going to use some Lindy's Magical Shakers. I use several colors. These are the main ones. These are Cup of Tea Teal and California Poppy Gold. My favorite metallic watercolors are from CSY Art Gallery. And the paper I'm using is some Bristol Smooth. So the card that you see up in the left-hand corner, that is the original card that I had created several years ago, and I wanted to mainly grab the background from it. I believe when I originally did that card, I was using markers, and this time I'm going to go ahead and use shakers, but I try to keep with a similar color scheme. So the theme this month is to take an old card and basically make it new again, or just rework it or redo it using the fun fold technique. And so I wanted to go ahead and grab that background because I really like it. If you don't have shakers, you can use inks, markers, pretty much anything you want for the background. So I went ahead and I just sprinkled some of those Lindy's watercolor powder onto my background, and then spritzed it with water, and then kind of worked that over a little bit to get the background that I wanted. And I'm going to go ahead and set that aside to dry. And then for all the leaves and pieces, I also use the magical shakers in some different colors, and basically just put some powder on my mat and then watered that down and dipped the die cut pieces in that. Right here I am making the background for the main focal piece of the card, which is the tree rings. And so I'm going to use some distress sprays and tea dye and antique linen, just spray that on a piece of Bristol Smooth cardstock and set that aside to dry. And then I will use that for with one of the die cuts from the Papertray ink die set. And I'm also going to color some of the other flowers using the same kind of general color scheme as I had done in the original card. And we'll set all those aside and let them dry. And then I'm going to take that brown square piece that we had colored earlier, and I'm going to take the die from the Papertray ink die set, and I'm just going to take my watermark pad and bounce that on the die so that all of the raised tree rings get that watermark ink on them. And I'm just going to flip that over, put it onto my paper, and I will end up using some gold embossing powder to go ahead and make those rings gold. So I'm going to carefully put this in my die cut machine and run that through. So that's going to go ahead and cut the die piece out, as well as add that embossing ink to the paper so that I can then take some embossing powder and make the rings gold. So it does go ahead and leave that impression with the die, and here I'm just going to go ahead and grab that. I did use an anti-static bag on the paper, but it still is a little bit messy, but I think you can see the rings pretty well, and it's it's not too obvious, hopefully. But I'm going to go ahead and spread that embossing powder over that and take my heat tool and melt the powder. And I really love how the way that turns out. And then there's another piece that goes with the tree ring, and I'm just going to take some vintage photo distress ink and go around the edges and then adhere these two pieces together, and that's going to be the main focal point of the card. And then I'm going to take this Whimsy stamp, which is basically a bunch of little small tree rings, and I have added some Versamark to it, and I will go ahead and just randomly push that against the panel to get that impression in different places. Then I'm also going to take a few other stamps from my stash and add marks in different places as well. And I'm using the Versafine Clair Sand Dune ink to do that. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to take some of that metallic watercolor and add some splatter. When I started putting this card together, I messed up on my score lines, and so I don't show that part, but I will tell you the score line where you need to make the scores so that you don't mess up like I did. So you're going to score each end, so 2 3/4, and then flip the paper around and 2 3/4 again, and then 5 1/2 in the middle. And then go ahead and crease and use your bone folder to make those lines nice and crisp. And then you're going to do 2 mountains and a valley, I guess you could say. So the 2 mountains on the end, the middle score line 5 1/2, where it's scored at 5 1/2, is going to go into a valley. Then you're going to take another piece of paper and cut it 9 1/2 long, and the width is totally up to you. Mine is 1 3/4. It's going to be scored at 2 3/4, 3 3/4, 5 3/4, and 6 3/4. And then you're going to fold on all those score lines and then kind of make the shape, um, I don't know, of a bridge, I guess. And that's going to be adhered into the middle of the card. So this is going to be the pop-up portion. If I didn't already mention, on this piece of paper, you need to cut just a small sliver off of each end so that it fits in here nicely, and that it's not really a measurement, it's just like a little sliver that needs to be cut off so that the score lines match up with the score lines on the card base, basically. I've gone ahead and used some double-sided adhesive as well as some liquid glue to make sure that this stays in there. And that's basically your a diamond shape and what makes it stay up. And then from here, it's basically just putting the rest of the card together. So I'm going to take all the pieces that I've colored and I'm going to add them to this pop-out piece. And while I'm finishing this card off, I wanted to talk about the card hopping group really quick. It is a monthly hop. We have been stopped for a few years, but we are back at it again. It is open for anyone to join. If you would like to join us on a hop, you just pick, you just sign up for whatever hops you want to participate in. There is really no stress about it. It's just a fun way to kind of put things in gear sometimes, get some inspiration, and see what you can do with the theme and technique. So we would love to have you. I will leave a link below for the group if you want to join. I'm also going to leave a link to the Stampin' Up! Demonstrator that I watched for this fun fold. And I also did the other fun fold. I'm going to have that video tomorrow, so I hope you'll join me tomorrow for that. Here's a little preview of the inspiration card and then the redo card using a really easy diamond fun fold. This was so fun to make. I had to make one, so I'm doing a video tomorrow for that. And I hope you'll catch me for that. But go ahead and check the playlist in the description below for all of the Card Hoppin' participants. And thanks so much for joining me today. If you like this video or found informative, I would love a thumbs up. Until next time, thanks so much.